guys, the Horror Man back, and this is going to be my video response to the original versus remake tag. I was tagged by my buddy Jason from Horrific Nightmares, so I'd like to first thank him for tagging me. This seems like it's going to be a fun one. It consists of 27 categories plus a bonus 28th category, all asking the same question. Which do you prefer, the original or the remake? Number 1. The Amityville Horror. Well, if you watched my Amityville ranking video, then you already know my answer. We're starting this off with a victory for the remake, because I much prefer the Amityville Horror remake to the original. I've always found the original to be pretty slow, and the remake is a much more exciting film. There are some great jump scares, and Ryan Reynolds' performance is fantastic. Number 2, Black Christmas. This is another easy one, this time with the original being the clear favorite. It's a classic. I love the fact that we don't know much at all about Billy the killer, whereas in the remake, we find out more, and we don't necessarily need the backstory. The remake is fun, but the original is a classic. Number 3, Dawn of the Dead. Another obvious win for the original. Again, the remake is pretty fun, but the original takes it any day. It's one of the greatest horror films ever made. Number 4, The Evil Dead. Stop. Just stop. You know what I'm going to say about this one. The Evil Dead. It is the greatest horror film ever made. Number 5, The Fog. Yet another clear victory for the original. One of my all-time favorite Carpenter films. Number 6, Friday the 13th. Now, it was mentioned that this is Friday the 13th 1 through 3 versus the remake, since the remake sort of, incorporates elements from the first 3 Friday the 13th films. But I have just the original film for the comparison. Either way, the original takes it again. Not a bad remake by any means, but especially if you're considering the first 3 Friday the 13th films, hands down. Number 7, Fright Night. Original takes it again. Remake, it's pretty fun, but it's just not quite as good as the original. Number 8, Halloween. Now, I love both of these films. I know most people either love Rob Zombie's Halloween or hate Rob Zombie's Halloween, and I'm one of those people who love it. However, with that being said, come on. It's Halloween. I have to go with John Carpenter's classic, the original. Number 9, The Hills Have Eyes. This one was probably the closest for me. I had a difficult time deciding which of these would be the winner. But in the end, I'm going to give the slight edge to the remake, actually. Now, I am a fan of the original, but I just really like what they did with the remake. I love that Wes Craven was involved. And as I said, I give it just an ever so slight edge. So, the remake. Only the second remake to win in this tag. Number 10, The Hitcher. This one is actually pretty close as well. I really liked Sean Bean as the Hitcher in the remake. And I like how they sort of did the reverse with the male and female protagonists. However, I still have to give it to Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell in the original. Number 11, House of Wax. Now, technically, this is a remake versus a remake of an original, because House of Wax is actually a remake to Mystery of the Wax Museum. But either way, for the sake of this tag, I'm still going with this original House of Wax, the Vincent Price version. The shock ending, if you will, was actually pretty surprising to me the first time I watched it. I loved seeing the makeup effects in this, and it just has a great feel to it. Classic, classic film. Number 12, House on Haunted Hill. Vincent Price wins this one again because I'm going with the original. Now, I do have to mention, I need to revisit the remake, because I've only watched it maybe once or twice, and it's been a long time since I have, and I wasn't a huge fan of the film. However, I do know that there are a lot of fans. I knew a lot of people that really enjoy the House on Haunted Hill remake, so I definitely need to give it another shot. But for now, the original takes it. House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price. Number 13, I Spit on Your Grave. Another one with a really good remake. And this is pretty close, but at the same time, it's almost obvious to me that I have to go with the original. There is just something so raw and brutal about the original. You know, not that the remake didn't do a good job of establishing that feeling as well, but you just can't beat the feeling of the original. Number 14, The Last House on the Left. I could give the exact same speech that I just gave for I Spit on Your Grave. Another great remake that does a pretty good job of establishing that same raw brutality as the original, but not quite. So, Wes Craven's original wins this one. Number 15, My Bloody Valentine. Now, the My Bloody Valentine remake is probably my favorite remake of this entire list. However, with that being said, it just goes to show how much I love the original because the original wins this one. I love the 80s film. It's one of the greatest slasher films of all time. And despite the remake being one of my favorite remakes, it doesn't even come close to the original. Number 16, Night of the Living Dead. A horror classic versus a really good remake. But in this case, the horror classic wins it. I'm going with the original. George A. Romero for the win. Number 17, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, if you watch a lot of my videos, you will probably already know that I'm actually a big fan of the remake. However, with that being said, it's not even a contest. The original takes this one as well. Another Wes Craven classic for the win. Number 18, The Omen. Another great remake here, but gotta go with the original for the 70s vibe alone. Number 19, Poltergeist. This is actually the only remake in this entire list that I do not own. So, the original Poltergeist wins by default. Number 20, Psycho. Come on, just come on. It's the original, without a doubt. Number 21, The Stepfather. Terry O'Quinn is the Stepfather, and that's why the original wins this round. Number 22, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, this is another one of my favorite remakes, but with that being said, can't match the original, so the original wins again. I'm noticing a trend, guys. And that trend just might end. How's that for a rhyme? With number 23, because When a Stranger Calls remake is actually my preferred choice in this one. Now, I do like the original, especially those first 15-20 minutes, but after that, it gets a bit stale. Whereas the remake is a bit more exciting, and I really love the house. Number 24, Carrie. Now, I wasn't exactly sure which remake we were talking about here, so I included both of them. But regardless, I have to go with the original once again. It's a classic film by my favorite horror writer. However, I do have to mention, I've never seen the most recent remake with Chloe Grace Moretz. So, by default, I can't consider that one. But, as I said, either way, the original takes it. Number 25, The Fly. So far, Vincent Price is 2 for 2. But that's about to change because I'm actually going with Jeff Goldblum this time in the remake. Because The Fly remake is another one of my all-time favorite remakes. And I might actually have to take back what I said about the My Bloody Valentine remake being my favorite remake in this list. Because that actually belongs to The Fly. Number 26, Prom Night. It seems like the remakes are swinging for the fences here because they actually win this category again. I have to go with the remake. You know, the original is a bit overrated to me. It seems popular mainly because Jamie Lee Curtis is in it and she was the huge scream queen of the time, but the movie is not all that exciting, whereas the remake of Prom Night is pretty good. Number 27, It. This is another category where one movie is going to win by default. I have to go with the original because I've never seen the remake. So, Tim Curry, that classic Pennywise, takes the win. And the final bonus category, The Mummy. Now, I do not own the most recent remake starring Tom Cruise, but I have here the Karloff Classic and the 90s version starring Brendan Fraser. Well, this tag video response started off with a win for the remakes, and it's going to end that way because the Brendan Fraser version takes this one. I love that movie. Well, there you have it, guys. The 6 victorious remakes in this tag. The other 22 categories were won by the originals. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. What do you think of my choices? Comment below and let me know.